This is Charles Johnson, National Editor of Farm Journal and Top Producer magazines. I'm here outside of Haxton, Colorado today, talking to Greg Larson, who is a corn farmer here. He's Secretary-Treasurer of the Colorado Corn Growers Association and also on the Republican River Water Conservation Board here. Greg, it's time to get started planting corn here pretty quick for you. How do you feel about the outlook for corn at this time as you're getting your planter ready to roll?
Well, we've got a very favorable outlook this year. We've just came off of about 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain across the farm in different areas, and so we've got great moisture. The field conditions are good and wet, and we're maybe a touch behind just because of the rain, but it's a good thing to have. With the market staying pretty steady, it makes it worthwhile too, and we're looking forward to a good year, I think.
Now, it's a little bit unusual to get that amount of rain at this time of year, isn't it? You're coming off of several years of pretty dry weather, aren't you?
Yes, we are. 2002, we had the worst drought in recorded history for Colorado, and it's been awful dry lately, the last few years from now leading up till now. So it's been a very welcome sight to see the rains this last couple of weeks.
So you are pretty dependent on irrigation here.
Mm-hmm.
You have 6 center pivots
Yep.
that you're running. Is there's still a good bit of concern about water in this area in the Republican River Basin, and you sit on the board, the Republican River Water Conservation Board.
Right.
What kind of steps are we taking to make sure that the flow in that river remains adequate to comply with the compact?
The compact, yep.
That was developed in 1942. Could you just kind of briefly outline some of the steps that we're taking to comply with that law?
Sure. Right now we're working with EQIP and CREP contracts to retire wells and to be able to conserve water and to keep the stream flow up. We've purchased surface water rights, so that's physical water that can go across the gauge right now, and we have a 20-year contract on that. That happened last year. That was a real exciting thing for us. We're starting to, with other groups in the area, working on conservation measures to try and preserve the Ogallala Aquifer, as well as trying to get back into compliance with the compact and staying into compliance.
Now, how much land has been retired so far through these programs?
So far, we've retired about 35,000 acres up to date.
And that's out of a total of about how many acres here in the basin?
We've got about 575,000 irrigated acres in the basin.
Okay, so it's still not a big percentage that's come out. There's still a lot of farming here.
There's a lot, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's good. This new technology coming out in agriculture right now, the drought-tolerant corn hybrids that are being talked about and maybe on the market here in a couple of years. As a farmer in this irrigated dry country, are you interested in those? Do you see those as having a big potential impact on you here?
I do. I'm very excited to see the progression of these. I think it's going to help us a lot. Dryland farming, as well as with the irrigation, I think it's going to be a great way that we can help conserve our water. With the irrigation, we've been trying to really get down close to what we actually need to apply to the crop. So if we can put on less for each crop, then that'd help us a bunch.
Well, that means that's that much water that can go into the river to comply with that law.
You bet. That'll help a lot.
Now, your markets for corn here, I know you have 3 ethanol plants here in northeast Colorado. But where does most of this corn wind up? Does it go to feedlots? What's your market for the corn, and could you talk about maybe what kind of basis you have here?
Right now we've got about a 30-cent basis on new crop corn. The vast majority of it goes to feedlots in our area. We've got a large cattle feeding population, I guess. The climate's just right for feeding cattle in eastern Colorado, so that's where the vast majority of it goes. You mentioned the 3 ethanol plants, that helps too. The basis is a little wide, but it's got to travel. A lot of the corn travels about 150 miles west of here.
Really? Well, that's pretty good ways to go there.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. Are you growing any other crops in addition to corn? What other crops do you produce here?
We grow quite a bit of wheat, a little bit of irrigated wheat. We're going to try soybeans this year.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some neighbors that have done in the last few years and have good luck, and so we're going to try them on a circle this year. And then we also grow a lot of millet for bird seed. For bird seed is the biggest market for us. So.
Really? So you are not just a corn producer.
No.
Now, this corn price at this time last year was pretty good, and then of course it crashed, and now it's about half as good as it was. But your costs here as an irrigated producer are maybe quite a bit higher than if you were in central Iowa producing non-irrigated corn. Mm-hmm. How attractive is this price when it gets under $4 an acre?
It's getting down there pretty close. We average probably $100 an acre just for the electricity to irrigate. So when it starts getting down below $4 with price of fertilizer and chemicals and seed the way it's been the last couple of years and coming into this year, it starts to get a little tight. If we watch our costs and we don't skimp. I mean, we don't cut back on fertilizer use or that kind of thing, but we really watch how we buy our inputs, and we can make it work. But it's not near as fun as it was or exciting as last spring.
Was this high-priced fertilizer a problem this year? Or what did fertilizer get up to around this area?
Oh, fertilizer in this area was like 1034. We were looking at $900 to $1,000 a ton, and there was some, like 32 was getting up 75 cents per available pound. It was getting pretty expensive.
But you weren't tempted to shave that back a little bit?
We were a little tempted, but we didn't want to sacrifice the crop, so we just learned how to deal with it in other ways.
Well, that could be a smart move. Well, Greg, appreciate you taking time to talk with us today, and I've enjoyed our visit here at the farm. This is Charles Johnson reporting from Hexton, Colorado, for the editors of Farm Journal and Top Producer magazines.